Hello, sweet friend. My name is Maike, and in this video, I have a little flip through for you. I thought it would be lovely to take a look at the May pages in my point of view journal. And if you're new here, this is my illustrated journal where I try to capture a sweet little moment of the day in a little doodle. And I use my fountain pens, and then I pair it with a marker, and I try to keep it as simple as possible. Yeah, so that is the general setup of this journal. And I tried a few new things in May. For one, I added an outline to my drawings, and I think it's nice. I think it helps define the scenes a little bit more. So here we have just me working on some things. I think I was finishing up a YouTube video in the kitchen late in the evening, all by myself. So that's what that is. My husband and I went out for vegetarian burgers, which was really fun, had a chat. Here we were chatting with my brother on the phone, and there was a lot of rain and the sky looked really green. So as you can tell, it's those often I illustrate the in-between moments, the little things that kind of still stick around by the end of the day if I think through my day, but they're not necessarily big events, or not often anyway. And that's what I like about journaling in different journals and in different ways, say collaging or writing or drawing, because I always feel like the memories that I capture in the different modes are slightly different. So here I got a new printer. It's a really small portable printer. I was really happy with how the prints turned out, so that's really great. And then here I was filming a journal with me video. I'm sitting at that same desk right now, so that's kind of fun. I guess I forgot to do the frame, which is fine. And then another thing that I've tried out in a few of these spreads is to not do the darker shapes. So as you can see here, we have some shapes are not filled in, and then some are filled in with the lighter marker color, and then others are filled in with the ink color. And so here I didn't fill in the darker shapes just to see what that would look like. I think the overall effect is a little lighter and breezier maybe, especially without the outline around the rectangles. But yeah, just again, some sweet little moments. We went to a restaurant. This was really good. You were able to put together your own bowls, and yeah, that was really, really yummy. This was my dad's birthday, and he's been looking for some blue inks, and so I had ordered a couple blue ink samples for him, and we were swatching inks together. Super fun. And as a little bit of a background, if you're new here, I'm currently visiting my family in Germany with my husband, and so we're staying with my parents, and that's sort of popping up here and there in terms of the memories that we've made in May. Here, this was really interesting too. We are staying in a very small town in Germany, and we were crossing the street and we were chatting in English, and all of a sudden this couple struck up a conversation with us in English, and it turned out that they are from Australia. And it was just so, yeah, interesting to meet a couple from Australia here. And so we got to chatting, which was really, really fun. And we did a little bike tour out in nature. We went out for some cake, even though this, I'm afraid, it looks a little bit like a piece of cheese or something like that. But the bakery has this wall where they, I guess, made it look like an old bakery oven and things. So that's kind of interesting. Sometimes I feel like for people who don't know where things are, but like what the rooms look like in real life, some of the spaces might look rather abstract, but I know exactly what that looks like. So in terms of a memory, it's really functioning well to capture the memory, and ultimately it is for me as a memory keeper. Although I will say that as an illustrator, I can't help it. Sometimes I fall into the trap of setting myself extra challenges in terms of what I want the illustrations to look like or what I want to accomplish. And so I sometimes have to rein that in a little bit, just simply because otherwise this isn't doable. As in, I don't always, for example, take reference pictures of the environments. And so, things are what they are. And, I do want to get better at drawing characters in an environment and figure out a little bit more of what I want my environments to look like in terms of how much perspective or things like that. But ultimately, it is a journal. And then this is, these two actually kind of go together because I tried a new recipe for a rice soup and it did not turn out great. First of all, it did not taste like anything. And then the recipe used already cooked rice, and so I had cooked rice, but then you still put it in with the soup and let it cook for a little bit longer, and the rice got really mushy. It had this really strange texture afterwards, and so yeah, the taste was off, the texture was off, it was not good. And so then the next day I had this glorious idea of, well, if the texture, at least I can, maybe improve the texture by pureeing it. And I had never pureed rice before, but it did work. I mean, it was so mushy that you could actually puree that. Whoops. So yeah, that's that. I got some Happy Mail of some products, and they turned out really nice, so that was lovely. And then here I watched a show with my parents, and we had some wine, and I thought that was kind of lovely. I guess I'm at an age now where you can drink wine with your parents without it being sort of like, anything in particular other than adults sharing a drink. Oh, I skipped a page. Really love this ink color. I guess I didn't mention the ink colors. I do have a lot of fun using my fountain pens this way. So this is Gerbin Verde Gris, and I used this Tombow marker 291 together. And then this is a dark waterproof green ink from Octopus Fluids Write and Draw, and I think it is the green, is it Squirrel? It might be Squirrel. And then I used, I think that is the lightest color that I have, which is the Ecoline Brush Pen Beige, 420. And here we have Colorverse Haho Mask, which is a really interesting terracotta color. And I paired that with the Pink Beige brush pen, the 374. And then this is Tono and Lim's Kai Waikiki, which is this lovely sagey green color, and paired that again with the lightest beige brush pen. And this is a new, I think this is becoming a fast favorite. This is Kobe Jinjunmei Gold, the sample I got from Mandy. So thank you, Mandy. This is just so lovely. I love these like rich ochre golden browns. And yeah, this one is just absolutely lovely. And this is, I think this is with the brush pen 439, which is the Sepia Light. And so we went for a walk. I was drawing some cats while laying on the bed. I got some new tea. There's this lovely small tea shop in town, and it takes every ounce of restraint to not go there constantly because they have so many lovely teas. And when you pick a new one, they let you smell the tea, and they have this small little handheld fan. So they hold the fan sort of halfway into the tea, so you get really the wafts of smell and everything sounds so interesting. And if you get a small little 50 grams bag of tea, loose tea, then it's not really that expensive. So it's the perfect little small joy. So yeah, I've been really having a good time every now and again going and getting something different. And then every morning I get to pick what kind of tea experience I want to have in the morning. And then this is further tests with my little printer. I had gotten some sticker paper and was really happy with how the quality improved with the coated paper. It just, the printer is really solid, especially for the size that it is, but there's something about coated paper that often brings out even more quality. I guess the ink can just spread a little more, so that's a small little side tip. If you've never tried coated paper, you might find that your prints turn out even better. And then here we have, so we had ordered a couple things while in Germany, and we finally tidied up our room because we were going on a trip, and I was shocked at how many packages there were to put into the recycling. So this is this stack of boxes and packing paper. And we went further south in Germany towards Heidelberg, and it was really charming. Even out on the train, we saw so many little castles and sort of old, I guess, fortifications, if you want to call it that. And you could really tell, like, every turn with the mountainside where they would put them. And so that was quite fun to see out the train. And I felt very American to be so enamored with the old stuff. So yeah, that was fun. And we stayed at a place where the owners didn't quite have time to plant or replant their new tomato seedlings, and so I offered to repot them. And so yeah, I was hoping that I was doing it right and that that they were gonna be able to survive there. And in Heidelberg, there is a wonderful little museum. If you ever get to Heidelberg, it's only open, I think, the second and fourth Sunday every month, because it's privately owned and operated by a brother and sister duo. And Heidelberg is the birthplace of Kaweco and Lamy. And in general, it used to be the hotspot for fountain pen manufacturing. And so this brother-sister duo has started this collection of vintage Kaweco pens and memorabilia and other German pen makers. And it was so wonderful. He was so knowledgeable. He really walked us through the entire exhibit. It's only 2 rooms, but there's so much to look at, and he has stories to every little object and pen that he has there. And also you were able to, or allowed to, pretty much touch everything and pick them up and hold them in your hand. It was, yeah, that was absolutely wonderful. Highly recommend. This is a second quick favorite ink of mine. Oh, I should say, this is Wearing Gold Camilla. This kind of dusky pinky color. And I paired that with a rather bright coral pink. I'm not sure if that was the right choice, but, you know, live and learn. This is the pastel red, the 381. I do overall really enjoy the Ecoline brush pens. I think I've mentioned that before. I think their brush tip is just a little bit thicker and softer. So for bigger areas, I prefer this over the Tombow markers. And on this paper, whatever this paper is, unfortunately, I don't know what the point of view, what they used for the paper, but it makes the marker look pretty even, so that's really nice. All right, so I was starting to talk about the ink that I used here. This is another Kobe ink, and that is Akashi Museum Gold. So as you can tell, even though it's also a gold color, it's leaning a little bit more green compared to the Ginger May Gold. And this is another spread where I didn't do the darker filled in spots with the ink, but only did the line art and then went in with the sepia light brush pen. And yeah, it just feels a little bit more airy, I guess. Has a little bit less contrast also maybe. But these were still days in Heidelberg. They had a wonderful balcony, so I was able to sit out on the balcony and read, and the cats would sometimes join us. So we were cat sitting for this couple. And then I was filming a reel, and the cat was just checking out what strange things I was doing, talking to a rectangle. And we got to hang out with a friend of ours that we hadn't seen for a while, and we went up to the Heidelberg Castle, which is again so cool. So that was a lovely day of just exploring and sketching, and yeah, it was just really, really nice. And then here I finally decided to commit to go to the Dutch Pen Show, and bought my tickets, bought my train tickets and all that, and was just really excited that I had made the plan to go. Yeah, and again, this is just, I mean, of course I would probably in other journals journal about the Dutch Pen Show and making the decision, but there's something about the context of this, of sitting on this couch and having the cat there and kind of feeling like we're making the decision together. Yeah. And then this is the last spread of May, again with the Ginger May Gold, but maybe this shows what a difference it makes if you fill in some spots, how much more contrast this has versus this. I also used a different brush pen. I used the lighter color, the 420, rather than the 439. So even the marker is a little bit lighter, you can tell. So it just has a little bit of a different vibe to it, for lack of a better word. So here, this was where I picked the first strawberry from their balcony plants, and it tasted really yummy. So that was kind of cool. This is the most abstract when it comes to the environments. They had like a partition to the neighbor's balcony, and here are the other plants, and they had these hanging decorations, but I remember exactly what that looked like. And this is also a case of, okay, it's not ideal, and if I was making a comic, I might have had to figure something else out to make this read a little better. However, one, this is my memory keeping journal, and two, I am trying to also not get too hung up on those technicalities, because then it's just going to take me way too long. Yeah. And then I went out and visited another pen store in the city in Heidelberg. It was just a really small, cozy place. And I was actually quite proud that I went in, because it was a very small shop. And I don't know if you know this, but you know how sometimes it's a little awkward to be alone in a shop, especially if it's small and the owner is right there. Yeah, I count that as a win to go in, and I actually talked to the owner, and it was quite fun. He had a lot of the Cavecos there, because obviously Caveco is from Heidelberg, and so if you're a fountain pen store in Heidelberg, then it makes sense to offer quite a few Cavecos. So that was that, and then we went to a restaurant, and they had these birch tree, or just the trunks of birch trees as decor. So it looks like we're sitting in this kind of forest cafe, but it's actually just a regular restaurant. And then we made our way home, and it wouldn't be a German train trip if there weren't train troubles with trains being canceled and delayed and all that. And so we stood there on the platform, and everybody else was standing there not knowing when the next train would come. I think this, I'm really happy that I challenged myself to draw even more people on the platform. So yeah, pretty happy about that, trying to really challenge myself sometimes if it, you know, if it is not, it's not the same as this kind of challenge, if that makes any sense at all. But yeah, these two I definitely very much enjoy. And I feel like this, you can tell that I had taken a photo of the storefront, and I actually want to get better at that sometimes, of taking reference photos of normal spaces, because sometimes you don't do that. I personally don't tend to do that. I only take pictures when there's something beautiful or special happening. But as someone who wants to get better at this kind of drawing with just normal places people are at, then that would come in handy. So yeah, that was me and my little point of view journal. I hope this was inspiring to see or just calming to watch. Let me know if you have any questions about the ink colors or marker colors, or about how I go about making these journal spreads. I do have a few journal with me's, or at least one journal with me that we did in this journal, so you can check that out as well. But overall, it is quite a bit of work, and at the same time, it is one of my favorite journals. Like, there's something about these drawings that really capture a time and a place for me. So yeah, I really enjoy making these spreads. So that is that, and I'm excited to see what other colors I'm gonna get into next month, although some of these are probably gonna stick around because I still have quite a bit of ink left, and most of these colors I'm really happy with, so there's that. All right, well, thank you so much for sharing this time with me. In the comments, if you want to leave me a comment to support the video, leave me a strawberry emoji. And until next time, happy journaling.